My parents think it's my fault for the divorce with my unfaithful husband, and they stopped talking to me, but now they want to apologize because my ex is in the news for an atrocious crime. This is pretty sensitive, and I'm kind of in a hurry, so please ignore any typos I make. This is about my ex-husband, my family, and me, of course. Kevin, my ex-husband, was 27, and I was the same age. We got divorced 3 years ago. We met in college, got married right after graduation, and ended things after a year and a half of marriage. But my parents adored him and immediately assumed it had to be my fault. In fact, to say they loved him is an understatement. They were probably in love with him and treated him like their own son, even better than my brother. They liked him so much that they stayed in touch with him even after our divorce. I'm the oldest of 3 kids. I have a younger sister who's 22 and a brother who's 20. And they all cut me off immediately after I filed for divorce because they wanted me to sit down and work things out with Kevin. But I wasn't willing to give him another chance, and I had my reasons. Even though I was pregnant, I filed for divorce because I found out he had been cheating on me with one of our college friends. But he and his parents said that since I was in my second trimester when I found out, I should try to fix things with him, go to therapy, and save the marriage. However, I didn't care about any of that. I knew my parents wouldn't be happy, but I still filed for divorce because to me, my dignity was more important than anything else. Of course, it hurt a lot that everyone cut me off without a second thought, even my siblings, but there was nothing I could do about it. For the past 3 years after my daughter was born, I've barely had any contact with Kevin or anyone in his family, but they still get together from time to time, and my friends tell me about it. They're the only support system I've had, and besides the monthly child support, I don't get anything from them. No messages, no calls, nothing. At first it hurt, but now I'm used to it. I clearly remember when I told my family that I was divorcing Kevin and explained why, they tried to talk me out of it. When I refused to listen, my parents told me they were going to cut me off. They assumed that Kevin couldn't have cheated on me and that it had to be my fault somehow. They thought I was crazy. They made my siblings cut me off too because they didn't want to expose them to a lost cause like me. I'm adding all this so people know exactly how they treated me. Anyway, that's all in the past, and I've slowly learned to live without them. Luckily, I had my daughter, my job, and my friends, so I managed pretty well. Now 3 years later, they've finally contacted me because they found out how awful Kevin is. I was surprised too, but I imagine it must be worse for them because they've stayed in contact with him all these years. Recently, he was in the local news because of a really horrible incident. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail, but basically he's in trouble because he tried to corner one of the interns who works in his office and made unwanted advances on her. Apparently, this had been going on for almost 2 months, and it was making her uncomfortable, so she decided to record the incident and then report it directly to the police. I've seen some clips of the video, and it's really bad. It disgusts me that I ever had anything to do with this man in the past. The worst part is that this girl, the intern, is only 18 years old. This is all really disturbing. Over the past few days, I've received messages of condolences from pretty much everyone I know, which is weird because I have nothing to do with him. But I appreciate the concern. The strangest thing that's happened is that a couple of days ago, right after the news broke, my parents and my siblings called me crying, asking for forgiveness. They told me they had no idea what kind of person Kevin was. They started apologizing and told me they had made a big mistake. They wanted me to forgive them and work things out with them, but I just listened to them and told them there was no chance of that happening. Then I hung up. I mentioned this to a cousin, and they told me that apparently they're being shamed by the whole family. Everyone is criticizing them for supporting a degenerate like my ex and for having kept him in the family. So that's the summary of the past few years with my family, and even though my parents are now going through something bad because they're stuck with the reputation of my ex, I don't feel bad, and I'm happy that they're facing the consequences for what they did, and I'm far from wanting to forgive them. It was easy for them to abandon me when they preferred my ex, and now I'm not going to make it so easy for them to get their daughter back. Well, I'm not going to let them get their daughter back, meaning me, because I'm not going to give them my forgiveness. Update 1. I'm surprised that so many people are happy that my parents are getting their karma. I thought I'd be the only one feeling this way, but there are many people who share these feelings. I guess people hate horrible people, and a good revenge story lifts their spirits. I haven't changed my mind about forgiving them, so those who said I should stand firm can rest assured that's what I plan to do. The last few days have been very confusing and mentally exhausting for me because even though I have nothing to do with Kevin right now, I know for a fact that we were together for a long time, and it makes me a little disgusted. We weren't just together, we have a daughter together. No matter how much I want to, I can't change that. I don't know why, but it's very disturbing to think that if I had never found out about his infidelity, we'd still be together. In fact, I don't even know how many other women he cheated on me with, or how many women he made feel uncomfortable and scared. I highly doubt this is his first time. Even now, many new details about him are coming out. Many women are posting about him, and it's been very stressful for me. I've been contacted several times by the local news to give my comments, and random people have been reaching out to me, either to tell me I'm strong or to tell me I'm a horrible person. I don't understand why, and I've never been through anything like this. So, Naturally, I feel pretty stressed. I know for a fact that none of this is my fault. I couldn't have known what kind of person he really was, and if I had known, I never would have gotten together with him. I'm glad my parents are in this situation, but they're indirectly dragging me into it. It's really frustrating because I don't understand how I'm supposed to be held accountable for my ex-husband's decisions. We haven't been together for the last 3 years. I haven't even talked to him, and yet somehow people have come to the conclusion that I have to be addressed about this. My solidarity with all the people who have had to face some kind of weird behavior on his part, but I'm not responsible for it. I don't want to talk about him with anyone either, and I don't want to hear about him because that was a very traumatic stage of my life, and I just want to forget it and move on. I don't think I'm a bad person for wanting that, and even if I were, I don't care. Update 2. It's been over a week since my parents last tried to contact me, and after that, I blocked them. I had already blocked them before, but they used a new number to contact me this time. They decided to send me an email, and they sent it to my work address since they know I check that email more often. It was the same thing. They said they didn't know, that they wouldn't have behaved that way if they had known, that they wanted to talk to me and that they wanted me to forgive them, blah, blah, blah. In this email, they even said that if not for them, I should at least think about the fact that my daughter deserves to have her grandparents in her life, which I found a little irritating because she's 3 years old and hasn't met them so far, and they seemed perfectly fine with it. I don't think it's a need that I can't handle. I think she'll be fine without them since they never cared about her before this. Honestly, all the emotional and sentimental drama they put in the email didn't make any difference to me. In fact, it irritated me a lot, to be honest, because every time I think about it, it just reminds me of the fact that something so horrible had to happen for my own family to realize that they should be on my side here and not on his side. I don't even know if I should think that they also knew about his predatory behavior, only that since it wasn't public, it didn't bother them. I don't understand it. Even back then, when I was getting divorced, they should have supported me without asking questions. Now they say, we're family. But at that moment, that wasn't the case, or it didn't have the weight they want to give it now. They knew for a fact that he had been cheating on me while I was pregnant with his baby, because they never discussed that. How wasn't that enough for them to be on my side in this? Everyone wanted me to forgive him and keep pretending that everything was okay. It really wasn't, and when I refused to play by their rules, I suddenly became the villain and a lost cause. No one cared about me for the next 3 years until now. So, yeah. I think they should keep choosing to be on Kevin's side. Let's see where that takes them now because, to be honest, I have no intention of forgiving them at any point. They really hurt me. They broke me irreversibly, and that can't be fixed. I left Kevin, no matter how much I loved him, because I knew that what he had done couldn't be fixed. Now it's the same with my family. They can send me all the emails they want, but it's not going to make any difference. I've already made my decision. Update 3. It's been 3 weeks since my last update, and after that email, I blocked them. But that didn't stop them. They kept creating new accounts and sending me emails asking for forgiveness, and it was the same thing over and over again. At one point, I got really frustrated and thought I'd just contact them to let them know that this wasn't going to work, but then that would be playing their game. Talking to them and communicating with them wasn't exactly what they wanted, so I decided not to do it. This went on for a couple of days, almost 2 weeks, but since last week, I haven't heard anything from them. I thought this was over, but now it's my siblings who are trying hard to get in touch with me. I can completely understand why they're so desperate for my forgiveness, because they want to show everyone that I've forgiven them and that everything is okay in our family. They don't want to be seen as the villains. I think I mentioned before that the whole family is against them right now. No one wants to talk to them, and they've practically isolated everyone. I don't think they're enjoying that very much. They started being rejected by people when they didn't feel the need to be kind to me while I was going through the divorce. But even then, at least the family kept in touch with them out of obligation. Now all that's gone out the window, and they've been marginalized by everyone. For how they treated me in the past, I think they're now facing the consequences of their own actions, but I imagine they can't stand it anyway. My siblings contacted me and sent me a message from a new number saying they were very sorry for everything that had happened, but I had to know that they hadn't really wanted to cut me off from the family in this way. Apparently, according to what they say in the message, they fought a lot against our parents, but it was no use because our parents had been very strict about what they wanted. They didn't think they could fight against them because back then, they both depended financially on them. My brother actually still does. They claim they were very young, so they really had no other choice but to do what our parents asked. So, if not them, I should at least consider forgiving my siblings because they really didn't have any other options. At least, that's what they think. But I don't agree with that. Honestly, I think they could have fought harder for me because I remember that when we were growing up, being the oldest, I always took their side, regardless of whether I got along with our parents or not. I always got along with them, and I thought they loved me, so it was a big betrayal to me when during the divorce they decided to side with our parents instead of me. and the fact that they were financially dependent on them doesn't mean much to me. It may sound silly, but I don't care because if they really wanted to talk to me, console me, they could have contacted me later when things had calmed down a bit. But for 3 years, they didn't bother to get in touch with me. And it's not like our parents would have found out. They're not technology geniuses. My siblings could have easily hidden it from them and talked to me. It was a choice, a conscious choice, that they made not to do any of this. And now they want to act like they've always been on my side but couldn't show it because of our parents. I don't believe it. I think they just want to be seen as the good guys now, just like our parents, so there's no real difference between them all. Anyway, they contacted me recently and I didn't respond. I had nothing to say to them, to be very honest. What could I say to them after 3 years? It's not that I haven't imagined this in my head. I have, and I've always had very bad things to say to them. But now that things have materialized, I don't feel like I should respond to them or get involved with them at all. Because I know it's pointless. What I've lived through for the past 3 years and during the divorce, no one else knows because no one bothered to find out, and especially as far as my siblings are concerned, it hurt me a lot, even more than when my parents disowned me. And that apology comes too late for me, and it's too little for me to really forgive them. It's too little to even consider forgiving them and leaving everything behind. Besides, I've already gotten used to life without these people, and I don't want to go back to being the person I was before. I don't think I can, realistically speaking, because I've gone through all this alone with emotional support only from my friends and no one else. So now I think it will be impossible for me to be the same person they knew before. I'm not that person anymore, and that's why I can't forgive any of them, to be honest. Not just my siblings. That's how it is. Update 4. A couple of days have passed since my last update when my siblings contacted me. I didn't respond, and after that, no one else messaged me or tried to contact me for a couple of days. I've been trying to put my life in order since my mental health in the last few weeks has been quite affected since Kevin came out in the news. I've been feeling very uncomfortable all the time, but a couple of days ago, I made the active decision not to think about these things anymore because what do they have to do with me? With that in mind, I decided to start planning a trip. But of course, my parents contacted me just when I had already decided to go. They sent me another email, and this time I learned something new. Now everything makes even more sense. Apparently my sister is engaged. She's been with her boyfriend for the last 2 years. They're doing very well, and he proposed to her recently. They were about to announce it on social media, but then the news about Kevin came out, and that ruined everything. In fact, since her fiancé's family knows that my family was in contact with Kevin, they were skeptical about moving forward with the wedding. But fortunately, my sister's fiancé loves her enough to convince his parents otherwise, so they're definitely going to get married. The problem is that because the whole family has turned against my parents and siblings, they're in a difficult situation. If they don't fix things quickly, probably no one will show up at the event. They had even planned to have an engagement party next month, but now that's also being questioned because, as I said, no one in the family wants to talk to them. The only way to fix this would be to show people that I've forgiven them. And who knows, maybe people will follow my example and start talking to them again. After all, what most people are bothered by is how my family abandoned me when I needed them most. They have a valid point. I could definitely solve this problem for them, or at least try to, because I know that if I say so, my relatives might consider getting in touch with my family. They would be cold, but at least there would be some kind of contact, and they wouldn't completely isolate my family as they've been doing until now. But that would only be if I say something to indicate that I've decided to forgive my parents and siblings and I'm trying to repair my relationship with them, which I'm not trying to do at all. So I don't feel the need to lie about it either, not even for the sake of their wedding or their happiness. I think that right now, my mental health is more important to me. In recent weeks, everything has been pretty bad for me, and I don't think interacting with my family is going to improve things. It's just going to keep reminding me of everything I've been trying to forget. So bad luck. But I don't think I'm going to help them with this. After all, it's not my responsibility to make sure that the rest of the family is present for my sister and that she doesn't end up looking like a fool. I didn't dig this hole for them, and I'm not going to get them out of it either. And the fact that they've been contacting me for this reason, that my sister's getting married in a couple of months and wants the rest of the family to be present so that her parents don't get asked awkward questions, is even more insulting. I don't understand why they thought it would be a good idea to share this with me, because it only makes me feel that they were reaching out to me for their own benefit and nothing else. Everything has to be for their own interests. Not even now could they apologize to me because they wanted to. They weren't really sorry for everything that had happened. They were contacting me only because there was going to be a wedding in the family, and they wanted everything to go well. It's so insulting to me to think about it now. I can't even deal with it. Anyway, I already mentioned that I already made a decision about it, and I'm not going to change my mind. I don't care about the wedding. I don't care about any of them. And I'm going to go ahead with my trip, and I'm going to ignore them for the rest of their days. It's over. I no longer consider them my family. I have nothing to do with them, and I don't want to have anything to do with them in the future either. I guess, for them, it's more important to be considered good people by the rest of the family than to actually be good people. I know I'm writing this in a disorganized way, but honestly, everything they've done so far has me really upset. As if enough hasn't already happened, they feel the need to keep contacting me and keep bothering me, no matter how I feel, even though I've made it very clear that I don't want to have anything to do with them. It's as selfish as it can be, but again, that's how they really are, so I'm not surprised by this. Update 5. I just got back from my trip. I went on a weekend getaway to the beach with a group of my friends, and I had a lot of fun. It was a good distraction from everything I've been going through, and they really supported me while I shared with them what was happening. So, that was very good. And even though we had a good time, even that wasn't completely free of interruptions because the day before we had to return, my babysitter called me and told me that my parents had come to visit me. My babysitter has been with me since my daughter was little because, obviously, being a single mother, it would be almost impossible to survive without her, and without a family to help me take care of her, not only because I need to go out, but also because I have work. Sometimes I also need to leave for work matters, and I knew that I couldn't always count on my friends to help me because they also have their jobs and lives. So my babysitter has been practically part of my little family, and she knows everything about my problems, including my relationship with my parents. Fortunately, that's why she was wise enough not to open the door when she realized that it was my parents who were outside. She only called me after they left to inform me, and I was very glad that she had the sense to handle the situation appropriately. Basically, she did exactly what I would have suggested to her without me having to tell her, and we were also lucky because my daughter stayed quiet when her babysitter asked her to because otherwise they would have given themselves away, and my parents would have known that I was avoiding them. Anyway, this was the call that I received the day before returning home, and even though everything was fine and no real damage was done because my daughter didn't end up meeting her grandparents, I made the decision to move. I don't know how they knew where I live, but I'm no longer interested in staying there. I've already started talking to my real estate agent, and I'm going to look for a place closer to my friends because at the moment, I live in a fairly isolated neighborhood. Anyway, and I'm glad that I didn't have to interact with them directly because I don't think I would have wanted that. Going on this trip really gave me a lot of clarity. I realized that I was giving them a lot of control over my life without wanting to, even though I didn't intend to do so, but automatically the only way to deal with this is to simply not worry. I don't have to read their emails. I don't have to think about them. I simply don't have to do any of that. So that's what I'm going to implement in my life now. Update 6. I had been talking to a lawyer recently because I had planned to make a post talking about the situation of my ex and my parents, but I wanted to be legally shielded. I didn't want a defamation lawsuit or any nonsense that group of social misfits might try. I wanted to disassociate myself from the problem of my ex and my parents with a post on my social media that explained the whole matter, and I wanted it to be analyzed by a lawyer. The lawyer gave me the go-ahead, and I published it. In general, it had a good reception with people supporting me after telling my story with my ex and my parents. It was shorter than the posts here so that there would be less chance of legal problems. But it was still a good summary, and, except for other social misfits who still decide to see me as the bad guy, the publication was a success. Although I would like to believe that it was more than a success because it has revealed some things. Someone, a supposed friend of my sister, commented that my ex tried something he's accused of with my sister and that my family covered it up. She said that hurt my sister, but she couldn't leave my family. My family talked to my ex and asked him to stop it. One would think that it could be someone just commenting for the sake of commenting, but my sister wrote to me to delete the comment at least. Actually, she wanted me to delete the entire post, but I told her no, and she told me to at least delete the comment. I asked her if it was true because I needed to know, and she asked me to please delete it. She hasn't confirmed it, but she hasn't denied it either, so I understand that the comment had a lot of truth in it. I haven't deleted it, and it will remain there. It shows even more the kind of parents they are, and with all the comments and likes it has received, it is one of the main comments. Update 7. A few weeks have passed since my last update, and now I'm posting this from my new house. It's in a better location, closer to my friends, and it's more convenient for my babysitter who, as I mentioned, is like my family. It's quite perfect for me because it's not that far from my workplace, and in short, I think I was very lucky. I guess it was a great decision to move after all. Anyway, enough about me. My sister's wedding is completely canceled at this point. We have a new comment from the person who shed a lot of light on the matter. They don't have a photo on their profile, and it looks like a new account, so I don't know exactly who it is, but I don't rule out contacting them personally to find out more. For now, they have said that the fiancé found out about the whole matter and has decided to cancel the engagement, the relationship, everything. According to this anonymous source, the fiancé has doubts that she didn't accept my ex's advances. On the other hand, another source has confirmed to me that my parents have been receiving harassment from people for defending my ex, both for what he did recently and for the infidelity situation. And my father has a business, which is being visibly affected by all this. No one wants to buy there knowing that it is managed by cover-ups of perverts. Those are the things I can tell you at the moment. Edit. I have written to this person, and they have told me other things, such as the fact that the advances to my sister may have started when she was a minor, and if my math doesn't fail me, that was when he was still with me. Well, I'm much less going to delete the comments from my post now. Update 8. In this post, I will not talk about myself, but about all the consequences of my family and my ex-husband who have sunk together, which I think is how it should be. They were together to abandon me, and now I will watch them alone as they fall into the hell they created. To begin with, my ex has been sentenced for harassment to 1 year in prison. I guess he has only been convicted of being with women of legal age because otherwise the sentence is a bit painful. He has also had to pay a fine, but that has been all. I regret that during this year he cannot pay child support, but when he gets out, it will be waiting for him. My parents have also fallen, but not in the same way. My father has had to close the family business since. At the door, there is only a sign that says that they have closed and that thanks all their loyal customers. They have spray paint calling them cover-ups. My mother did not work, so that was the source of income of my parents and indirectly of my brothers because my brother depended on them, and my sister is likely to have started to do so now that she is no longer with her fiancé. I have not had more information from our anonymous source, so without a wedding for my parents to attend and without the need to keep up appearances, I feel calmer. I have not heard from them in a long time, so it could be the end of this problem.